Hi, welcome to Watcher DM. I'm Gabriel. Today I am doing a flip through and review of Eye of the Aeons, issue number 3 of the Troika 1 in 5 series of adventures. I recently had the opportunity to play through this adventure, and it took a number of sessions and was quite thrilling. It was a very, very interesting deviation from the other Troika 1 in 5 adventures, and I think kind of pitched a bit closer to what I would expect from something like Slate and Chalcedony or one of the other more kind of dungeony adventures. It's quite a good dungeon or castle crawl, if you will. I will, I guess, start by saying spoilers for Eye of the Aeons. So if you're planning on playing this adventure or you think your GM might run this adventure for you, I would recommend sending your GM this video and turning away. But for those of you who are here to find out what's inside this amazing looking book and what you can expect in terms of running it and playing it, let's dive right in. So, the struggle against fate. The party enters the Manse of Mirrors. That's the kind of locale here. And inserts themselves into a battle for control of a world-changing artifact unfolding between the deposed Cyclops Queen and her usurper. Can you withstand the Eye of the Aeons? And yeah, as described here, it contains a multi-faction dungeon crawl with an emphasis on player agency and social encounters and factions. 36 keyed locations, which is nice. You can easily get them via a D66 table. Tons of eyes. Optional Chaos God boss fight. And it is designed for use with Troika. The science fantasy RPG is written by James Barker with illustrations from Andrew Walter. The inside of the cover flap here is the map of the Manse of Mirrors. And the inside back has some art of some of the cyclops, giants who kind of inhabit the castle. Of course, the construction of the book is kind of what you would expect from one of these 1 in 5 adventures. They're kind of on a newsprint style binding. Is like perfect bound. Pretty sure it's perfect bound. Oh man, there's some stitch in there. Because it is stitched. Yeah. It doesn't seam it, but you know, it is. It has a light weight to it. It's a very consistent construction with the other 1-5 series. So if you've got the other 1-5s, this is the same construction. And of course, you start off with some fun things. Now, one thing I will say here is in the Waste District beyond Troika's walls is where this adventure is set. And it's kind of funny. I remember the 1-5 prompt being basically like, the adventure needs to happen inside of Troika. So it's a little ironic that this happens outside of Troika. But apparently there's just a lot of garbage, like a lot of garbage around Troika, kind of landfill after landfill, because apparently that's what's going on here. But the story is, in the waste district beyond Troika's walls, there is a manse of many mirrors fallen into ruin. 7 domes and 3 towers, half buried in the rubble of ages past, under ward of the Cyclops, grown idle in their melancholy. In Troika, the wizards of the College Illuminate maintained a nervous watch over the manse, which would long have been forgotten, but that it houses the Eye of the Aeons, a mysterious prism of vast power that is rumored to cause the Red Eye curse afflicting so many unfortunate magicians. Now, the Cyclops Queen has been overthrown, and her usurper seeks to cheat his own death through dangerous misuse of the powers of the Eye. The manse is a haven of lost treasures, and adventurers now converge upon it to various ends. And so you get a d6 table here of introductions and hooks. I think we got the Shatter Mirrors initially. We got the Return the Changeling. I think these were kind of our 2 initial quests. And then we ended up picking up the Find the Elixir quest the Banish the Evil quest, the Chart the Secret Way. I think we pretty much, the Steal the Eye quest, we pretty much ended up doing all of these quests. They're fun. They're all a lot of fun. The Manse of Mirrors. So, the manse protrudes rudely from the ground, domes and towers half obscured by mounds of ancient junk. Colossal stone heads and totemic monoliths dot the landscape outside, some toppled, carved with the faces of cyclopes, and extinct beasts of distant spheres. Pilgrims meander forlornly between them. A terrible silence hushes even the wind, and all present have the feeling of being watched. So there are three kind of obvious ways to get inside the manse here. So there's the colossal stairs in the front. That's the location 1 here, which you can see up at the top. The hole in the wall by the Burning Eyes Pilgrims camp is located at 9. So that's over here. This is where we entered. And then the last is scaling the walls. The walls are 12 meters high, but creative players may find a way to fly to the top or otherwise scale them. If they do reach the top, consider the following. And so it leads you down with some solutions for handling players who have decided to go the hardest possible way. So, you've got your random events and encounters on the rooftop. So this is should you get up to the roof, you could encounter these. And then inside the manse, you will encounter these tables here. There are some, I think they're called, anthropophagi, that are, or maybe it's oculi. There's little eye creatures. Let's see if I can find a picture of them here. Nope, that's not it. The snails, these little guys. Current Jub retinue. Yeah, these are the anthropophagi. And they form little raiding parties. They're kind of raiding this place, which is pretty fun, but they are providing a lot of the eyes in the adventure. Alright, so you get your map again, and you start with the locations. Of course, here you've got some, I'm going to call this classic Troika style layout. Basically, you're getting a couple of paragraphs. I personally find this a little difficult to read and consume. I think it is very much like a eat the book type of adventure layout. It's definitely grokkable. There's not so much here that you can't consume it, but it is not ideal for reference. I would probably read this a few times and internalize it, maybe writing myself some notes about things that I wanted to keep in mind, especially with how kind of active this dungeon can be. So you get the entrance of the manse resembles a great cyclopean face with an open maw, and that just heads right in. And then you've got a bunch of doors around. The entrance passage, or eastern passage, is this hall here. And so you kind of interact with your first couple of wizards. This one knows Cockroach. And Dario knows Tongue Twister. And then you've got some abandoned dormitories, a garbage hoard, and I'm pretty sure that's basically all of this here. And then 5 is the western dormitories. So, abandoned dormitories is like this stack of rooms here, and then the western dormitories is this stack of rooms here. There's not really a ton going on in here. There is garbage to swap for player items, so if anybody wants to swap anything. You got the Hall of Shattered Mirrors is room 6. I think we ended up in here pretty swiftly and got trapped in a mirror with this terrible thing, and that was how we lost our first PC. The Boatwoman's Dome, I think we went and followed this lady out. She was a lot of fun. Very fun character. and yeah, this is a great social encounter. In fact, I would argue that most of these are really fantastic social encounters. This one less so. This was much more of a fight. The I Hulk's Oubliette. I don't think we actually encountered this. We did not go into this room. So this is 8 here. And as you can see, these are locked doors. So until you get the keys, they're pretty much off limits. Or if you manage to succeed on whatever roll you're using to get into them. So we never ended up interacting with this guy, but it looks terrifying. And he wants to reach the Eye of the Aeon and shatter it to release Alskaloth, the All-Seeing. And then you get the Burning Eye Pilgrims camp. So this is where we started. There's a lot kind of going on here that can happen. But I think largely you're just kind of using this to get in. Although this is a great opportunity to have a lot of NPCs. This is also a good place to put when your PCs die in this adventure, because this adventure is hard. Let's be clear. This one is going to kill your PCs. There is a very high likelihood that they will die. Cyclopes are just insanely big stats in terms of Troika Adventure stats. And you're talking 2d6 Cyclopes here, right? There's a not insubstantial amount of Cyclopes running around. They can come from this camp when your PCs die. You can have fresh PCs kind of emerge from this camp. Got a mushroom farm here, the pond and fountain. Nice place to befoul. I think the pond itself is 11 here. I don't think we actually ever ended up traveling there. In fact, we pretty much went straight up from 9 to 7. And this is where, obviously, we met Boatwoman's Dome. Yeah, we went through here and kind of on. And then the boathouse is 12, which is this thing, which, again, I don't think we ended up heading that way. Anthropophagi. I think we only had positive interactions with these things. But yeah, they're very interesting little critters. And yeah, they kind of support, they are a whole faction, so they kind of support a bunch of things that you can do, including gambling, axe throwing, being offered food, participating in elections. They're a fun whole cavalcade of interesting faction engagements you can have with the Anthropophagi. The gun tower, this place was really interesting. So, one of these rooms, I think it's 13 here, you can see there's just a little gun sticking out. So that gun, and this is basically where Queen Yanwa's quarters are. But that gun there is visible from outside, so you can kind of see that this tower is important, although it's really difficult to get to. And you just come in here, and she needs the crystals, I think, to power it. So there's a certain amount of I think it's the actual Eye of the Aeon. Eye of the Aeons that is required to power the gun. Let's see, yeah. Colossal artillery piece here. An ancient wonder of sorcerer's technology from old Ayatho. It still points to the last thing it destroyed, the collapsed tower, location 9, and it has been inert ever since. It's fired by means of a control cupola from which the cannon projects. The crystal shard of the generator room, location 13A, can power it for one last shot. There's one Cyclops guard here at all times, equipped with a spyglass and a fusil. So we joined Queen Yanwa's little effort here. I didn't even know that she had a crystal here. I guess it doesn't matter. We went and stole the crystals anyway. There's some barricades. There is a lot of locked doors in this adventure. All these red doors are locked. And so getting the keys is a pretty critical part of the adventure. Aligning yourself with one of the factions to get keys and access is a really good way to do that. There's a golden barge tower. I think this is where... Let's see. Right. So this Yorg is kind of out this way. Yeah, 15. Yeah, I think we literally, knocked on this door and got let in. I Atop this tower, invisible throughout the land beyond the manse, is a golden barge of exceedingly ugly design. It resembles a grimacing, bearded cyclopean face whose open mouth acts as an entry to the vessel. Its single eye shines like a red spotlight facing the direction of the gun tower to the south. So yeah, there is a bunch of mirrors in here. Yeah, there's some really interesting stuff in this place. And then you get up to the rooftop where the golden barge is. Mirror storage in room 16. Hall of ropes in room 17. So again, kind of complicated, but you're doing this kind of loop around the outside. So, through that basically. And then you get towards the interior of the many domes, including Yorg's garden. So the garden here, 18, is where the mandrake root is grown, and you need that to make the mandrake elixir, which will cure Queen Yanwa of the red eye curse, and anybody else who has it, I guess, ostensibly. And then there's a lower garden as well, so that's the opposite side there. The old library, there's some good spells in here. I think this is the one with the spells. Yeah, this is where you get the elixir, which we learned how to do, and we learned a random spell from a guy here. There's also Summon Wall Demon is a spell here, which we ended up hitting the wall demon that gets summoned. Because this is 20? 20 is here. I think 22... Yeah, demon door. So you end up kind of hitting this wall demon door basically on your way in here anyway. So the numbering's a little weird, but at least it's all on one spread. Then you got the Cyclops boathouse. Again, not really that interesting, not too much there. Wall demon was tough. We actually ended up using one of the trapping mirrors to kind of beat it. I don't know if we would have otherwise. The temple door, the guardhouse. So I'm sorry to keep flipping back and forth, but you can kind of see here. So the temple door is 23. So as you're coming north from this tower, you're going to end up hitting this, and then hitting 27, which is the Temple of the Eye. So this is kind of where the monk or whatever, the Cyclops monk is like guarding the eye, and he'll call for. I think he calls for like guards, but we kind of had, when we did this, we ended up kind of aligning ourselves with both sides so that they, like, calling guards wouldn't really work, which was pretty clever on our part, but not guaranteed to work. Flooded halls, 25. This is flooded. And this is something that happened here. I think 10 actually describes itself as flooded. As with the passage to the north, the floor of this dome is flooded to the waist with water. So a very interesting moment happened here when we first arrived. I was playing a Parchment Witch, and Parchment Witches have issues with water. They basically, they're made of paper, so they disintegrate in water. And so when we got to this room, I turned around and was like, well, we're not going in there. And we just went and did other stuff, and this pathway here is load-bearing. You kind of need to go this way. So I would recommend, I don't know, something. Encourage your witchy, your Parchment Witch characters. Let them know that the water won't stop them or something. It's interesting. I mean, it was interesting decision making, I guess. But when my Parchment Witch died and we came back through here, it was fine. So yeah, Temple of the Eye was super interesting. This is a great fight. And then if you kind of get the Eye of the Aeon, yeah, there's some wild stuff in there. The observatory, I think, was astrological maps. There's this big machine kind of described here, and there's all these crazy spheres. This whole experience was pretty wild. And these spheres are great writing. They're really, really fun. Yeah, the shining gold, the greystone. There's one that's like a mirror one, and you get trapped inside of it. It's pretty great. In fact, maybe it was it's a reflective metal one. Once activated, the person who turned the lever is transported inside the sphere in the same fashion as the mirror prison in location 25. And then with a tuning fork, you can flip it And in fact, the tuning forks are important to the whole mirror puzzle of the place, which is really, really cool. We didn't really realize that until the very end. But really interesting interactions here. Jorg's workshop was fun. We had a big fight with Jorg and his insufferable dork here. I think, yeah, his technical assistant, who is a normal Cyclops. Loves mathemology. Really, really fun fight. We tried to use the mirror to like get him, and he ended up using his tuning fork to kind of get out. It was pretty fun, but we ended up killing them pretty quickly, and we actually ended up releasing the guy. And then I had a thing that let me kind of go back in time and basically undo. I think it was like a portent, basically, of some stripe where I was like, okay, I have this ability that lets me kind of roll back the clock and be like, that's what would have happened. So we undid that because it was pretty terrible. It was definitely a TPK. And then you get the Great Dome. And yeah, the Great Dome is, I think... Let's see here. Did we ever end up interacting with the Great Dome? 30. Yeah, I don't know that we ever went in through here. Gigantic brass bell hangs in a tilted angle, suspended by a chain. Yeah, maybe not. Oh, this might have been... I remember. Yeah, we just saw this from the outside. We didn't actually interact with this. You've got some equipment definitions here, some NPC definitions here, plenty of space for notes if you want to write in your book. The NPCs are great. Nessa the Wizard's Apprentice and Nessa the Changeling. This is the character you're supposed to go switch out. We lost her in a mirror. The Chaos Godling, Ozkaloth the All-Seeing. This was a terrifying fight that kicked the living shit out of us. 6 initiative tokens, 14 skill, and a stamina 32. Yeah, talk about getting your butt kicked. You got Queen Yanwa, Queen of the Cyclopes. The Usurper Jorg stat block is pretty nice. And Grand Wizard of the College Illuminate Zoldar, who I think was the guy who gave us our quests. And then you get some regular old enemies. So the Anthropophagus, the Burning Eye Pilgrims, Chaos Snails, Speculatrix, Oculus, Wall Demon. This guy was likewise pretty tough. And then you get your nice Friends of Melsonia listing. And the brief for the 1.5 adventures, which I think that thing is now closed. And some nice advertisements for some other Melsonia stuff. Eye of the Aeons. Honestly, of all the 1.5 adventures that we've played, I think this may well be my favorite. It kind of hits the most home in terms of it's a crazy dungeon. It's got lots of factions. It's really, really interesting. Almost puzzle kind of style design. I think really caters to my style of play, and I found myself very much enjoying it as we progressed. And it was fun to die in. A good hard dungeon that's fun to die in. Sometimes, man, that's all you need. If you like these videos, I hope you'll hit the like button. If you want to see more of them, you should subscribe. And if you'd like to be notified when they come out, you can hit the bell icon. If you'd like to get access to these videos a week early, and also get access to my writing and drawing material, as well as any other adventure material or games that we make, you can go sign up on my Patreon, patreon.com/WatcherDM, and I hope to see you there.